Welcome to Real Talk with Leigh Brown. Today I've brought you someone who might be one of my new favorite friends, Corey Milner from Birmingham, Alabama. And just full disclosure, y'all, this is going to be a part one because she's already promised to come back so we can talk about more mom-to-mom conversations and issues around education and all these other fun things. But in the meantime, you're going to get to hear an amazing real estate story, a little bit of investment, a little bit of marriage and life advice. You just never know what you're going to get. So dial in, enjoy the conversation, and I'll see you on the other side. Very good. Well, thank you for coming on the show. I'm excited to meet Corey Milner. Tell my audience who you are, where you're located. Give us a little bit of background on you.
I am Corey Milner. Out of Birmingham, Alabama, born and raised. I have a background in teaching, so I have a degree in elementary education. So I always hear people say, "Oh, you're a teacher. Oh, teachers make great realtors." I don't. It's probably just the fact that we like lists. We have a little bit more order and organization, but yet we can also thrive in a little bit of chaos. So.
You can manage multiple personalities, and I think that's a very important skill in real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. It is really come in handy for me. So yeah, but I stumbled across your podcast. I'm a podcast connoisseur, and I'm always searching for something to learn, something that's relevant, something that I can use. And so I was hooked. And like I said, Bethany has been one of my favorites, but I love all of them. So.
Well, tell us how long have you been in real estate, and what caused you to leave teaching, or did you do both for a while until you made the plunge full time?
Yeah, well, I've got pretty broad range of experiences. I was a teacher, taught in public school for 5 years, and I've got like just 22 years of after that. It included just a whole lot of different things that I've done, from starting a learning center to buying commercial properties. My husband and I, we bought 3 restaurants, and by 2007, I was on my 4th child, and at 32 years of marriage right now, and we bought 2 additional properties after that. And that's where my love for real estate kind of evolved and grew, just managing our personal rental properties. And then in 2020, I decided to take the plunge, and I started real estate school. I meant, like, in 2020, what else was there to do, right? I was like, okay, hey.
May as well.
Yeah, may as well. Had all the time in the world.
Okay, so I'm very interested in your investment decisions, because so often when I talk to people in and around real estate, they invest in residential properties primarily because we invest in what we know. And you said you and your husband did commercial investments in restaurants. What led you to go do the big stuff? Because that's the big stuff. Are you a risk person? Do you have connections to restaurants? I'd love to know about this.
Yeah, well, it is the big stuff. And, just like I said, I started a learning center after teaching. I just kind of feel the need. There was such a big need for students who were going home, latchkey children, so to speak. And so I did a lot of that after school. And I had lots of parents just asking me, "Hey, Corey, well, Miss Milner, I really need someone to tutor my child after school." And rather than send them home after school alone, there was just a big need for children that needed a space after school, a safe space, and not just to play, but just, to have that academic support too. So we did that. And I had this storefront initially is where we started, but we outgrew that. It was such a huge need that we decided to buy a property. And it just so happened that we needed a commercial property. And with that commercial property, there were 2. It was one property, but 2 parcels. And so, yeah, we ended up buying both of them. And I rented out one of them. I only needed to use one of them. And so the other one, I rented it out, and we just kind of got into it from there. And I've had that property since 2003.
So you still have it?
I still have it. It's not a learning center anymore. I've closed that down, but I rent it out. And so it's a passive upstream of income for us now.
So with 4 kids, I would imagine that revenue stream has been quite helpful in funding projects and futures for your kids too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is one of the best decisions we've ever made. And not because we had planned it that way, but I meant just by default it happened, and it's been such a great asset and an experience for us.
I mean, if there's anything I wish y'all would take away from this conversation already, it is that you have to start thinking about investing not as HGTV talks about it with the quick flip and the quick money, but think about real estate as this long term benefit that can turn into lots of things that can support your whole family later. I mean, I don't know about you, but if I could go back 20 years now, I would buy more property than I
Yeah.
did so that I would have more streams. But I was younger and broker and definitely more scared of it, even with the decisions we made. And we were ahead of our peers. But golly, you can take more risk at 20 years ago than you
Yeah.
realize. Then you get to our age and you're like, okay, we got to speed it up here.
Absolutely.
So I love
Yeah.
that you guys are showing a way. And I also have to point out 32 years of marriage is a huge
Yeah.
accomplishment.
Yeah.
So for the kids from your learning center and your kids' friends to see that you've done marriage and life together and investing together and businesses together, I mean, you're showing all the
Yeah.
different things that
Yeah.
you can accomplish when you stay focused.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I had a lot going on, but we just did it together. We planned together, and we were very strategic and what we wanted for the future, especially for the children. And we knew that that was going to be something that we could hold on to long term.
Right.
Now it's no longer a learning center, but that property that we are renting now is a barber shop and a barber school. So
So
it's
it's
been
more
that for 10 years
entrepreneurs.
now.
You're growing more entrepreneurs. Hey,
Absolutely, yeah.
well, I mean,
But with
if you hadn't taken the learning center step, though, to go open that,
Yeah,
you wouldn't have learned what you learned that you could then take and
absolutely.
expand out. And isn't
Yeah,
that what leadership is? You learn
absolutely.
one thing and then you watch it start expanding out.
Yeah, and we learned a lot. Like, we knew nothing about being property managers. I mean, it was just a hit or miss, and there's a lot that goes into it. Like I said, we just bought the property. It started out being a learning center, but now that it's flipped to something else, we had to go through that whole zoning process. So that in itself was a great experience too.
So are you on the planning and zoning board now, or is your husband? Have y'all decided to be a part of the actual process to make sure it operates correctly?
We are not, but we are very involved in that. On a day, believe it, yeah, we are very involved in it. So we know what's going on, but no, we're not on the planning board for that particular city. But we were involved in that zoning, and we had to be because we've got to make sure that we follow those zoning laws and regulations. So
Well, and you want to be the voice of reason too, because sometimes the people that are in those seats are doing it for their own purposes.
yeah,
They're not looking at the full story. And sometimes in real estate, the story is not obvious. You have to be able to convey that messaging so that the next group can see the potential. Like a barber school, the immediate thing I'm thinking of is everybody that graduates from there is probably going to try to open up their own shop at some point. You're
yeah,
growing the next generation of small businesses,
yeah,
but the person who doesn't know anything about the cosmetology and hair business might look at that as a trade school lower than. Like, it's not lower than, that's an
yeah,
incubator. But when we talk about politics so often, we get focused on DC and then it becomes this trench warfare. And all I can say, y'all, is that that's not where politics has the most impact. It's not even the elected people in your city and counties, it's the planning and zoning
that's right.
committee. And so if you're the person who can be thoughtful about your community and you want great outcomes, reach out to your mayor, your city council people, your county commission, and ask if there's openings, because often there's unfilled seats on these commissions.
Yeah,
And then when somebody like Corey brings a plan forward, if we don't have great people in there, it might get derailed for no reason. So you got to start
yeah,
serving. You serve where it
yeah.
matters.
And we had to fight for that learning center because it was zoned as a church. There was a church there for several years, and the community, they were just not happy. They thought there was going to be, lots of traffic, lots of chaos, or the kids are going to be
From a
outside and
learning
all over
center.
the place. Yeah, and so we had to fight that. But I mean, eventually they grew to love us, and we just brought a value to that community. We were right down the street from a library, from a high school, and right now that very same high school, the barbershop serves that high school and those high school students. So it's just full circle, and I'm loving it.
I'm a little astonished that a community would fight a learning center. I mean, we're used to the neighbors getting in a tizzy about anything that's affordable housing or that is going to feel like high traffic. But I
Yeah.
feel like as a parent, a learning center is a high five. Let's do it. Let's
Yeah,
do
and
it.
that would and we had to make them understand and see, the perspective and what we were doing and just to see the greatness and the value and what we're bringing to the community. And eventually they ended up absolutely loving us. So it was worth the
See,
fight.
back to your school teacher ruse because you knew how to
Yeah.
get the message across to your classroom. It just
Yeah.
happened to be adults that time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So tell me about these restaurants. Do you and your husband cook? Are y'all chefs, or do you just enjoy investing in them?
No, we were simply investors in those restaurants, and we just my husband's one of his friends brought that idea to him, and we just jumped on it. And of course, we knew nothing about that either. Learned a lot in that adventure, but that's been long since dead. We're not we're no. It's just not our expertise. And I mean, my husband's a physician, and so I'm a teacher. We know nothing about that industry. And so it was a great learning experience, but we just realized it wasn't for us. So
Well, I watch one of my favorite things to watch is Kitchen Nightmares and Hell's Kitchen. I watch all these kitchen shows, and almost all of these contestants want to open their own restaurants. So
yeah,
I do. My son likes to watch them with me too. So we will Google while we're watching them. What happened to this one? Oh, opened a restaurant, closed, open,
close.
closed, open, closed. Like,
Yeah,
it's so
yeah,
sad because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
such a low margin business. It's
It
hard to make it.
it is a hard business. I mean, it was a hard business, and we just didn't have the time. You've got to be when you're talking about managing a restaurant, you've got to be present.
Yes.
You've got to be. We had so many moving parts and it was a money pit. And like I said, we just didn't know. We weren't versed in that area, and we decided to get out of it. But I really admire people who know that industry and can hang in there and do that. But you have to realize too what your gifts are.
Oh, you can say that again. That'll preach right there. You have to know what your gifts are. I
Yeah,
mean, that's life. But also when you recognize what your gifts are and you know what they aren't, you and your husband made that really smart choice of saying, you know what? We're going to move on to the next chapter. And you moved on instead of trying to bring something to life that wasn't going to work for you. And that's a huge thing to learn. I
right,
mean, when do you
right.
move on?
Right. And I use that very same value in real estate, as a new agent. And this is something near and dear to my heart. As a new agent, just in my background, I had not been in a world where I had to really work to get paid. I mean, like I really had to
Hustle.
hustle.
I mean, and
I went in the classroom and I did my job and I got a paycheck at the end of the month. But now it's just all about me. And if I don't do the work, if I don't hustle, I don't get a paycheck.
it always makes me think about, did you watch The Office? Is that one of the shows y'all have watched? So my husband and I love that show. Our kids have watched it. And there was an episode when Michael starts the Michael Scott Paper Company and Pam is his salesperson because she wants to be in sales. And she's complaining that she wasn't making any money. And she's like, it seems kind of unfair that I don't make any. Oh yeah, I guess it's really fair. She kind of,
Yeah.
okay, so I didn't make any money because I didn't sell anything. Okay, fine. But that's a realization that I think a lot of people find when they get into real estate because it is a business where you have to have the degree of discipline and
Yeah.
drive to do it because nobody's going to tell you to. You're either doing it or you're not, and only you can tell
Absolutely.
you. So, what is your secret? You're 5 years in, which is, by the way, not a new agent anymore. Now you're in the only, let's see,
Glad to hear you say that.
or inside 5 years, so you're experienced now. What's been your secret to finding that internal motivation that says, okay, Corey, we have to get up and do something. Corey, we have to do something today. How do you get yourself up and going? Because I think that's a hard task in today's world of distractions and excuses,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
the weather and the market's bad, and I don't like
Yeah.
interest rates, all the things that pile up. Tell us how you get
Yeah.
through.
Yeah. It's a lot. I mean, just structure. We talked about hustle, just hustle. as a new agent, I started out, it was a hustle. It's like, okay, I got to get, I got to go after this one. I got to take every lead that comes in. I've got to, anybody that calls me, I got to take it. And it was just a constant, because I wanted that. I was just hustling, trying to get that, that close, that deal. And not enough structure and not enough habits put into place.
Mm.
With teaching, you've got that structure. We're taught how to manage a classroom. You're not taught that in real estate. I mean, when I took that real estate class, they didn't teach me how to build habits and how to build structure. What you do on a daily basis, how to develop relationships with clients, potential clients, and build your database. We weren't taught that, and so I had to slow down in order to speed up. To be honest, Leigh, I had to slow down, get some structure, develop some good habits, and get my and that got my business going. And I'm in a good place now. But I was on a team my second and third year. My first year, I committed to doing a coaching team, and I did that coaching team the whole year. I had one transaction that year, and it was a relative, and it was new construction. So that was like a pot of gold.
Did I just make fireworks happen?
Absolutely. It was total fireworks.
I don't know what just happened there, but we'll take it.
That was so cute. I love it. And so, yeah, that my second and third year, I joined a team, and I was on a team that bought leads, and I was a maniac. I think I drove 30,000 miles in 1 year, taking those, just chasing after leads. And I just got burnt out. I'd even put myself in some compromising positions, and my husband's going to be upset when he hears this, but yeah, you're just chasing. And, it was just too much, and you get burnt out, and it's a road leading to nowhere. And I had to slow down in order to speed up.
Do we have to discuss that in that chasing around of leads, you're really chasing money instead of chasing the relationships? And we all know money's a dead end.
Yeah.
It can do great things for you, but if that's the end goal is the transaction and the dollars, real estate will absolutely eat you alive.
Yeah.
You start to figure out that the structure lets you get to know people and spend time with them, which, oh, by the way, that does turn into money.
Yeah. And, for me, I wasn't necessarily chasing money. We were in a very good place financially. I was just, there's that dopamine hit just getting to that closing table. You know what I mean? Not just that, like, oh, we're under contract. Yay. It was that feeling of just knowing, okay, I'm a new agent, but yeah, hey, I got a contract.
Okay, so you mentioned that your pre-licensing didn't give you the structure to survive, and we know that you got Alabama law, you got that down pat, but that doesn't translate into the practice. So what does a lesson plan look like for you in real estate? Because any teacher in the classroom, the first thing they give you in student teaching is lesson plans, lesson plans, lesson plans. What does that look like for you in real estate?
Well, for me, it's all about structure. I love organization. I love structure. I love lists. I love a good list that I can check off. And when I tell you I do that every single day, I feel like if I don't get every box checked off, I haven't had a good day. And so for me, it's just putting things in place, having my list, looking at that list the day before, and not just that, but having a weekly list, monthly list. I make goals. I just live by list, honestly, and I try to stick to those things that are important to me that I know are going to lead me to success and build my base and build my business.
So for the nerds amongst us that I know are going to ask in the comments when I release this episode, are you a list on your phone app person, or are you a list on paper person?
No.
Like I keep mine are sitting over here in my file because I like paper.
Oh gosh.
What's your style?
I am not a phone list person. I hate a phone list.
Are you my sister with paper?
I am paper. Oh gosh. I am paper. I've got paper calendars. I've got paper list in my car. When I get in my car, if I don't have my little note card with my list on it, I jump back out and I run back and make sure I got my list, because I don't leave home without my list. I've got a mix of things on my list. I make sure that I've got my husband included on there if he needs anything. My kids may need something, although they're grown up, they still need stuff. I mean, you never stop parenting. And then I have stuff that I know I've got to do. go to the office for this at a time or run by Publix or whatever it is I've got to do. I have that list. But yeah, I'm a calendar, written calendar, paper, pencils, pens. Yeah, just the teacher, old school teacher in me.
Well, you make me feel so good because I get a lot of people that ask me, they want time management skills. And I say, I use a paper calendar. Like, no, I need something else. I'm like, well, you asked me what I use. It's a paper calendar. And now here's Corey to agree with me. So now there's two of us against all of y'all who are looking for a magic app. And I just don't think
There's
there's a
not one.
app or a magic anything. It's just whatever you're going to use, you use it. And so for you young
Yeah.
people who want to use an app, use your notes app. Although I'll point out there's now that commercial on, I can't remember what I was looking at, probably a cooking show on Hulu. And there was that lady who was interviewing a fella she wanted to date and said he's keeping his budget in his notes app. And I was like, who does that? Because I keep a check register. But I
Yep.
guess there's something for everybody.
There
But
is.
I don't think you can get real estate under control if you're not somewhat organized, because you'll start forgetting things and you'll miss people and not call somebody back, which I currently have somebody I have to call back after this episode that I forgot to call back, and I'm embarrassed, but now I have to call and say, I'm embarrassed that I forgot to call you back, but you weren't on my list. And it's my mistake.
I'm so glad you said that because I have done that recently too. You were not on my list. I totally missed that Zoom call. I didn't write it down. It was on my calendar on my computer, but it wasn't
That's
on the
you.
list that I wrote down.
That's the wrong place to write it down.
Yeah,
But I will
there is
say
no
that
app to replace a human. There is no app
right.
that can replace a human. I don't care if it's AI and acts human. It is not human.
And also, the app's never going to say, I'm sorry. I will call this man and say, I'm sorry, I forgot to call you back. AI will never do that. So sometimes it's your little bit of humble pie that reminds people you're not AI, you're not a bot, you're real. And well, the young people do say real, recognize real. I said that in front of my children and they about died because they're 19 and 20. So I've learned that if I want to horrify them, I use a current slang term and they're horrified.
Yeah, we have to throw that in too. Yeah, my 18-year-old gets a kick out of that too.
And then I told him, I said, I could also say no cap. And he said, Mom, please stop.
That one is hilarious. I'm like, that makes no sense to me. No cap. That is
Well, it was on
totally.
the billboard for a healthcare clinic around here. I was like, they're like, no cap, we'll help you. I was like, I don't know what any of this means. And I called my son. He doesn't answer my calls because I'm his mother. So I texted and said, call me back. And he said, what? I said, explain this billboard. And he goes,
Really, Mom?
but I was like, they shouldn't put it on the billboard if I don't understand it because I'm only a medium person. Can you imagine what your grandparents thought?
Oh, they have no idea.
So Corey, in the years that you've been in and around real estate, whether it's practicing or investing or being an entrepreneur, learning different spaces, what's the one thing you've learned that you wish everybody else knew that you never knew till you were knee deep in all of this?
Oh gosh. That the glitz and glamour that's on social media is not what it cracks up to be.
Oh, do tell.
You know, they make it look so easy. You just, they're showing this beautiful $1 million house and, you know, they've got all these followers and people look at it and they go, oh, well, their life must be so easy. Real estate must be, you must make so much money as a realtor. That is just not true. And I think a lot of people that see that follow social media, I have nothing against, you know, the realtors that do that because there's some that are so amazing and gifted in that area.
They're trying.
They're trained. And that's just not reality.
Okay, well then, speaking of things that are not reality, you've made it to 32 years of marriage, which is a big deal. So what is your marriage advice to the ones that are watching and listening that would like to
Wow.
know, how do you get over the hump? Because the thing both of us will tell all of y'all is that there's nothing easy about
No.
marriage. It's just how you choose to get through it. And so I'd love to know what your advice is to the people who are trying to figure things out.
My advice, 5-letter word, grace.
So what does it look like to show grace to a husband when you're irritated with him and for him to show grace to you when he's irritated? What's it look like in practice?
For me, it looks like knowing that I am so imperfect that when I look at his imperfection, I can only give him grace. I mean, really. And I think we need to, across the board, do that in every relationship, especially in real estate.
I mean, we can be tested and tried in real estate
Oh gosh, we can be tested and tried.
and
Oh
control the other side.
both buyers and sellers, we can be tested and tried. But grace, absolutely. Nothing's perfect. The grass looks greener, always on the other side. But oh my gosh, they're going to need grace too.
Well, they always say you don't know what somebody else is going through, and that can actually apply to your spouse. You don't know
Yeah.
what they encountered at work or the conversation they had. So I love that counsel, and what a perfect way to wrap up this very delightful conversation. So
Yeah.
Corey, if somebody wants to reach out to you about Birmingham, Alabama real estate or
Yeah.
how to get involved in investing, how should they best reach out to you and tap into your knowledge?
Yeah, they can reach out to me through Corey Milner at arcrealtyco.com, and they can email me through that website, and I will get back to them.
And of course, as y'all know, I never leave you hanging. All of Corey's contact information is in the show notes for this episode, so you can follow her online, reach out, ask your questions about anything Birmingham real estate or investing, or frankly, she'll probably answer your questions about how to get to 32 years, just like her, because I'll just speak on her behalf. We love nothing more than helping. If you've got a question you want to ask of a stranger, we're glad to be the kind of strangers you can reach out to. So say something nice about Corey down here in the comments.
Thank you so much.
Most importantly, tell her thank you for coming on the show, and we'll see all of you next time. Thank you, Corey. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Leigh. It's been an honor.
Now, if this episode brought you value, made you laugh, cry, or in between, then don't forget to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share this with somebody else in the real estate trenches. You'll find a Real Talk with Leigh Brown on every major podcast app, so hit follow, and I'll see you in the next conversation. Don't forget to DM me if you've got a story. I might just want to feature you next.